Hi there, and welcome at Your Guitar Workshop. My name is André, and today we're going to do a song by Eric Clapton called Tears in Heaven. This is not the studio version, but the MTV Unplugged version. I think it's one of the best versions out there, and the original version has already been covered online, so I figured I'd give a shot at this one. I'll start by playing the intro for you first, and then we'll get into how to play that on the guitar. So here we go. Alright, so what do I play? First, let's look at the chords. The chords are A, E with G sharp in the bass, F sharp minor, A with E in the bass, D with F sharp in the bass, E7 sus4, and E7. When you start by playing the open E string. Oh, by the way, before I get into any further, the ring finger plays everything on the E string, middle finger plays everything on the B string, index finger plays everything on the G string, and the thumb plays the basses. There might be some parts where the fingerings for the right hand are different, but in that case, I will tell you. So if I'm not mentioning anything, then you can rest assured that those are the fingers for the strings. Okay, so you start by playing that open E string, then you make with your index finger a hammer-on in second position on that E string, so like this. Then you play open A string, and you play that A chord, and then you play G string, B string, and then you make a hammer-on and pull-off on third position with your middle finger. So like this. Then you play G string, and that's for the first half of the first bar. So like this, 3, 4, then you play that that E with G sharp in the bass, and you play the G and B string and the bass, the E string at the same time. Then you play the E string, then the treble strings, and then you go to that F sharp minor. Now you can play that as a bar, but what also might be useful is to just play it like this. So you have little finger in second position on the B string, ring finger in second position on the G string, and middle finger in second position on the E string. For a lot of people, that's a lot easier to play. So maybe you should try this version. So those that first bar, including the pickup, 3, 4. Then, in the next bar, on the 1 and, so just after the first beat, you play E string, treble strings, so that's G and B string. So E string, treble strings, E string, and then you play the bass open, so you remove your middle finger, and then you get that A with E in the bass. You play that, strings together, so the bass string and the G and B string. Then you play bass, treble strings, bass. So those first two bars together, 3, 4. Then in the third bar, you get that D with F sharp in the bass, and you play the bass string, so the E string and the G and B string together. And treble strings, bass. Then you remove that middle finger, so you get that E7 sus4. Then you do the same thing. You play bass and treble strings, play the bass again. Then you put your index finger in first position on that G string. So here you're going to be making that E7 chord. You're going to be playing the bass and treble strings at the same time again. And you play that bass afterwards. So that bar on its own, 3, 4. Now remember that when I say treble strings, I do not mean necessarily all the treble strings, but I mean the treble strings that we were using in that chord. So these are very specific to that chord. So in this case, it's actually, when I talk about treble strings, it's actually always the G string and the B string. So keep that in mind. Okay, now for the fourth bar, you get that A chord again, and there you just play A string is our bass now, so A string and the G and B string. Then you play that bass string again, treble strings, bass string, so like this. And you do that once more. And then at the last moment, you just play treble strings and bass string together. And then you get that pickup again, that open E string with a hammer on afterwards on second position. So that fourth bar goes like this, 3, 4. So now let's try those 4 bars, including the pickup, all together. 1, 2, 3. And that's it. All right, now for the verse. I'll play it for you first, and then we'll get into how to play it on the guitar. So here we go. Alright, so what do I play? The chords are pretty much the same as within the intro, but you do play a couple of variations here or there in certain parts. So let's just start at the beginning of the verse and we'll take it from there. So you start off with that hammer on second position on the E string. Then you get that A string open. You play the A chord, play the G string, B string. Make that hammer on and pull off on third position on that B string. Then you play that G string again, so like this. We covered that. Then you get that E with G sharp in the bass. You play the bass and treble strings together. Play the bass and then bass and treble strings together again, which is different from the intro. And then you play that F sharp minor chord. So like this. Then, in the second bar, instead of skipping the first beat, on the first beat, you will be playing that F sharp bass note. And you play it on the one end as well. So like this. Then you play treble strings, then bass string, and then you play that A with E in the bass. You play open E string and you play the treble strings. Then you play the bass string, treble string, and bass. So that second bar should go like this. Then in the third bar, you get that D with F sharp in the bass, and there you play bass and treble strings together, then the bass, and again bass and treble strings together, and then the bass. So like this. Then you play A with E in the bass. So you play the E string and the G and B string together. Then you play the bass string. Then, now with index finger and middle finger, I'll be playing the B and E string. So I'm not doing that with my middle finger and ring finger. I think it's more practical with my middle finger and index finger. Like that. So like this. Play the bass string again. So that's for the first 3 bars. Let's play them together with the pickup, of course. 3, 4. Right, now in the 4th bar, we get an E chord, but it's a thing that moves up, like a triad. So you play index finger in first position on the G string, and you play the B and G string. You play that on the first beat, and then you just start alternating with the bass. So you play that, play the E string, once more, E string, then you put your index finger in second position on the G and B string, play that, bass again, then middle finger in third position on the B string and ring finger in fourth position on the G string, play that, and then you get the E string again with the hammer on, because there we got that pickup again. So that 4th bar goes like this. So those 4 bars together, 3, 4. Now then you repeat that verse, and with the second repeat, everything is actually the same except for the very last bar with that E chord. There you don't play what we played, like... There we don't play that hammer on anymore, but at the end we just play open E string, so like this. And then we move to the chorus.